This is Dr. John Whitcomb talking about the 8 problems of processed food. We're going to start with glycation, and this is my reference is Robert Lustig's new book called Metabolical. It's a tour de force worth reading. The first problem with processed food he lists is glycation, and you should understand what glycation is. Glucose is a sticky molecule. You know that because you spill a sugared soda on your car seat and your car seat stays sticky forever. Well, it also sticks to stuff inside you. It's a very reactive compound. That's why it has so much energy in it. So it's got beneficial effect too. But that stickiness, when you have free glucose floating around in your blood, it sticks to things it shouldn't stick to. It's called the Maillard reaction. And it's not easy to measure that easily, but it sticks to things it shouldn't. And that creates an immune response, and it slows things down. It mucks up proteins so they can't move and change their shape like they're meant to. Glucose sticking to things just is a pain. Well, we can measure that in an indirect way. And this is what you should know, and that is with the hemoglobin A1C. We can't measure the amount of glucose stuck to your muscles or brain or joints or eyeballs, but when we draw your blood, we can measure your hemoglobin. And each red cell has about 1 million hemoglobin molecules in it, and your hemoglobin A1C is basically a simple number. It's the percent of hemoglobin molecules in your red cell that have a glucose, an extra glucose stuck on them. Now, red cells live somewhere around 100 days. So in effect, what you're getting is a snapshot of your average blood sugar over the last 100 days. Nifty. We used to say diabetes was by definition, a blood sugar over 126, but blood sugar bounces up and down all the time. Every 15 minutes, it's a different number. But if the area under the curve over 100 days is a much more stable number, and that reflects what your risk of diabetes really is. So the new definition of diabetes is an A1C below 6.4. But we say it's pre-diabetes, anything down to 5.7. But the Institute of Medicine says the slope for longevity keeps curving downwards and gaining until you get an A1C below 5.7. And Bredesen says you get less Alzheimer's if you get down to 5.5. What's my goal for you? I want you to be at 5.5. How can you accomplish that? Well, there's a bunch of strategies you can do. The most important strategy is expose yourself to less sugar. And that means eating less sugar. It also means eating less foods that have a high glycemic index and rise quickly, the blood sugar going high. So when you grind up grains and make them into talcum powder, you digest them much faster, which makes your glycemic index rise much faster. So you can show that the glycemic index of whole grain may be as low as 19, but turned into processed oatmeal by smashing it out, you digest it much faster, and your glycemic index will go up to 85, 90 compared to 100 for pure glucose. So don't expose yourself to whole grains. Don't drink any sugar of any kind, and just cut sugar out of your diet. Your A1C will gradually drift down. But more importantly, you might also just say add intermittent fasting. So for in any given day, your body runs out of glucose after about 12 hours and starts switching to ketones. Well, you want to switch to ketones. That means you're burning fat. That's weight loss. So instead of eating breakfast, think about stretching out the time you don't eat, and don't eat until lunchtime. And then compress your calories into 6 hours a day. That's what I'm doing. 5 days a week. Weekends, I get 2 days off. But during the week, lunch and supper only. This is Dr. John Whitcomb talking about the 8 deadly problems of processed food. Number 1, glycation.